Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm going to do the second episode of the coin roll hunting Q&A, and this time all of the questions are going to be from our website. And if you want to check that out, there'll be a link down below in the description, and there you can find just a whole bunch of topics related to coin roll hunting, which you might find useful. But also too, before we start, as always, feel free to leave your answers and opinions based on these questions in the comment section. Not only will I appreciate hearing all the different opinions, but I'm sure the person who asked the question would also appreciate to hear from a bunch of different individuals. Alright, so let's jump right into our first question, which is why are you not focusing your attention on dimes and quarters dating before 1967? They contain 80% silver and are much more valuable than copper pennies or nickel. And that's a really good question. Again, everything there is true. However, there are two main reasons why we don't coin roll hunt through dimes and quarters, at least as much as we're doing nickels right now. And the first reason is because simply we're not really too successful whenever we do it. We have gotten some silver dimes in the past, and if you go back and look through our some of the older videos on the channel, one of our largest videos is when we found our first silver dime. So we have had some success, but generally we're not really ending up with anything. And just to follow with that, the second reason why we don't do too much coin roll hunting through dimes and quarters is just for the simple reason that when they announced the demise of the penny about a year and a half ago, we kind of made the decision to focus our time on trying to get as many copper pennies and as many nickel nickels as we could. Again, given that a lot of the silver dimes and quarters are already pulled from circulation, we thought that we would focus on what we knew we could get and then also to use that time accordingly while we still had the chance. And then the same would just apply with nickels even now that the pennies are gone. We're still getting around our typical 10%, which we were getting around 3 years ago when we started. So as long as we can get around 10%, a lot of our time will be spent on the nickels. But that said, my brother and I, we have grabbed a box each of the dimes in the last week. So stay tuned and we'll show you the results from our dime coin roll hunting. And the second question that we have is, I just found a 1922 coin in my pocket looking for change. Is this a rare thing to happen, and should I keep it? Now, I should just mention too that this was in a relation to a post on nickels. So when they say I found a 1922 coin, they're referring to a 1922 nickel. And I'll just direct you over to a great website that I have mentioned in the past, which is coinsincanada.com, and I'm just here on the Canadian coins price guide, which you can get to just by going up to coins and then price guide. And it gives you a good idea about just not only the price but just the mintage numbers of every coin. If we click on the 1922 to 1936 King George nickels, again, there are different prices there based on the different grading of the coin, and I don't find that too helpful generally. Again, most of these are quite high, and I think that they're just estimates based on how many numbers of the mintage that there was, and then also to what could go or what they could go for today. But just clicking on the year 1922 and scrolling down, again, this is a great site because it gives you a lot of description of the coin. So it shows you here pictures, the difference between a near rim and then a far rim coin. So again, you might want to check to see if it's one of those. And then of course too, it gives you the mintage number, which I always love to see on the older coins that I get. This one has 4.7 million. So again, just going by this, given that it's basically a 100-year coin and the mintage isn't that too much, I would say definitely keep that. Keep any King George coins that you get, whether they're nickels or pennies even, if you can get your hands on some pennies. But again, keep that coin, and just from my brother and I's personal circumstances, I've never got a King George the Fifth coin in my change. Again, definitely never a nickel. And even too, when we have been coin roll hunting through boxes of nickels, we still only get a very minimum amount of King George the Fifth. I think we've only had 10 or 12, something very small. So yeah, great find, congratulations, definitely hold on to that one. And the last question for this video is, what are you doing as far as melting them down when the time comes? This is another frequent question we get, not just here on YouTube, but also from the few individuals who know about our hobby. And I think what they do is just assume that since we're collecting copper pennies and nickel nickels for their metal value, at some point we're going to have to melt them down and turn them into bars or rounds. And that's just not true. My brother and I will never melt down our coins, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, at least right now and for the foreseeable future, it's illegal to do so. And while the melt ban is in, that's not a hurdle that we're going to want to deal with. So, again, just for the simple reason that's illegal, we're not going to do it. But also, too, even if they did lift the melt ban at some point in the future, there's quite a few reasons why it wouldn't make sense. First of all, it wouldn't be an efficient process. Again, it takes quite a bit of energy to get the necessary heat to melt them down. And also, too, it should be remembered that it is a skill-intensive process. And my brother and I, we don't really have the skill in order to turn a copper penny into a 99.9% bar or round. So we don't see it as an efficient process just from a skill standpoint and a cost standpoint, but also too we also see it as destroying something with a guaranteed weight and purity. Right now, that guarantee is backed by the government, so again, people can be confident that it is what we say it is. That is a 98% copper penny with a pretty guaranteed weight behind it. And also, too, by melting them down, you're also destroying the numismatic qualities that it could have in the future. As if you've seen any of our coin roll hunting videos, we have quite a bit. The majority, of course, is before 1980, and the pennies before 1997. So if we're going to hold on to them for, let's say, another 20 years, again, you never know what the value of those coins are going to be. So while we're hoping to hold on to them for their metal value, which will hopefully go up in price in the future. Again, too, you just never know what the numismatic qualities are and the value that they would grab in the future. And lastly, I should also mention that just as though there is a market for silver dimes, quarters, and halves, where people trade those coins for their spot value, we're hoping that a market also develops for copper pennies and nickel nickels, at least a larger market than there is today, and people will accept and trade copper pennies at their spot price. So there's quite a bit of reasons why we won't melt them down. We're just going to hold on to them as they are. But thank you very much to everyone for watching. I hope that you found the video interesting. As I mentioned at the start of the video, please feel free to leave your answers down in the comments section. Also too, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, we'd also greatly appreciate that very much. But again, as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next video. Bye for now.